The restaurant buzzed with romantic dinner conversation and clinking glasses, but Mark's attention remained fixed on his phone. I sat across from him, the carefully wrapped anniversary gift growing heavy in my lap. Mark? I tried again. Should we order? Oh yeah, whatever you want, Olivia, he mumbled, still typing. My name is Olivia Chen, and I was celebrating my 5th wedding anniversary alone, watching my husband text someone who clearly mattered more than this milestone moment. I set the gift, a vintage Rolex I'd spent months tracking down, on the table between us. I got you something special. He finally looked up, offering that distracted half-smile I'd grown too familiar with lately. Thanks, babe. Can we do gifts later? I've got a work situation I need to handle. Work. It was always work these days. Mark's investment firm had been incredibly busy for months now, requiring late nights, weekend calls, and endless texting. I'd been understanding, supportive even. That's what good wives did, right? The waiter approached with menus, but before he could speak, Mark's phone buzzed again. Sorry, I need to take this, he said, standing. Order something for me. I watched him hurry toward the exit, phone already at his ear. The waiter gave me a sympathetic look. Would you like to start with some wine? Make it a double. I sighed. My own phone vibrated with a text from my best friend, Kate. Call me ASAP. Need to show you something. I excused myself from the table and headed to the restroom. Kate answered on the first ring. Please tell me you haven't given him the watch yet, she said without preamble. Not yet. He's too busy with work calls to open it. Why? Liv, she hesitated. I need you to look at something, but you should be sitting down. I'm in a restaurant bathroom, Kate, just show me. An image appeared on my screen. A dating app profile featuring my husband's photo. Marcus Stevens, 35, investment manager. Looking for discreet fun with no strings attached. Last active, 2 minutes ago. The world tilted sideways. I gripped the marble countertop, studying the image. It was definitely Mark. The photo was from our vacation in Bali last year. I'd taken it myself. There's more, Kate said gently. He's been active on multiple sites. My cousin matched with him last week. That's how I found out. She didn't know he was married. I stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror. The black dress I'd bought specially for tonight suddenly felt too tight, too desperate. Liv, are you okay? He's on a work call right now, I said, my voice sounding distant to my own ears. Probably arranging some discreet fun. Come over, Kate urged. We'll figure this out together. No, I straightened my spine, decision made. I need to handle this my way. When I returned to the table, Mark was back, finally putting his phone away. Sorry about that. Did you order? I picked up the gift and dropped it in my purse. I'm not feeling well. I think I should go home. He barely looked disappointed. Yeah, okay. I got some emails to catch up on anyway. Want me to call you an Uber? Don't bother, I said standing. I'm sure you're too busy for a sick wife. He didn't catch the bitterness in my tone, already pulling his phone out again. At home, I went straight to Mark's home office. After 5 years of marriage, I knew his habits, his patterns. He was meticulous about some things, careless about others. Like using the same passwords for everything. Our anniversary date, which now felt like a cruel joke. His work laptop was password protected, but it only took one try to get in. What I found made my blood run cold. It wasn't just dating sites. There were encrypted emails, suspicious financial transactions, and folders labeled with what looked like code names. This wasn't normal investment firm activity. I started taking screenshots, but there was too much. I needed help understanding what I was seeing. I called the one person I knew could help, my brother Rian, a cybersecurity specialist. I need you to look at something, I said when he answered, but you can't tell anyone, not even Kate yet. Give me 20 minutes, he replied. While waiting for Ryan, I kept digging. Mark had a hidden email account under his dating profile name Marcus Stevens. The emails were concerning discussions about offshore accounts, untraceable transactions, and something called Project Eclipse. I heard Mark's car pull into the driveway and quickly shut everything down, my heart pounding. By the time he came upstairs, I was in bed pretending to sleep. Feeling better? He asked, not really expecting an answer. I kept my breathing even as he changed and slipped into bed, immediately reaching for his phone. The blue light illuminated his face as he typed, probably messaging one of his dating matches, or worse, based on what I found on his laptop. The next morning, I waited until Mark left for work before meeting Ryan at his apartment. His reaction to the screenshots confirmed my worst fears. "Liv," he said slowly, "this isn't just cheating. Your husband is involved in something seriously illegal. These transactions, they match patterns we look for in money laundering operations." I sank onto his couch, clutching my coffee mug. Money laundering? For who? That's what we need to find out. Ryan was already setting up his equipment. But first, we need to be careful. If he's involved in what I think he is, this could be dangerous. What do you recommend? We document everything quietly. I'll help you set up secure monitoring on his devices. But Liv, he caught my eye, you need to act normal. If he suspects you know anything, it could be bad. I thought about the man I'd married 5 years ago, the charming, ambitious investment manager who'd swept me off my feet. Had any of it been real? What about the dating profiles? I asked. Actually, those might be part of it, Ryan mused. Perfect cover for meeting certain types of clients. Plus, if anyone got suspicious, it would just look like typical cheating husband behavior. The pieces were starting to fit together. The constant texting, the late nights, the sudden influx of new clients at his firm. I need to get access to his other laptop, I said. The one he keeps in his office downtown. Ryan raised an eyebrow. You think there's one there? He mentioned it once, said it was for sensitive client information. I bet that's where the real records are kept. We spent the next few hours setting up surveillance software and secure communication channels. Ryan taught me how to access and document everything safely, leaving no trace of my investigations. One more thing, he said before I left. I'm giving you this burner phone. Use it only for contacting me about this. And Liv, be careful. Men like this, they don't react well to being exposed. That evening, I played the perfect wife. I apologized for ruining our anniversary dinner, suggested we reschedule. Mark barely looked up from his phone. Sure, whenever you want, he said absently. I might be traveling next week though, big client meetings. I wondered how many of those client meetings were actually dates, or worse, something more sinister. Actually, I said casually, I might stop by your office tomorrow, bring you lunch. We barely see each other these days. That got his attention. He looked up sharply. No need. I'll be in meetings all day. Oh, with who? Just clients. Look, I've got work to do. He stood, heading to his home office. Don't wait up. I heard him lock the door, something he'd started doing recently. Through the wall, I could hear the murmur of his voice as he made another work call. On my burner phone, I texted Ryan, need to get into his office tomorrow. Can you help? His reply came quickly. Already working on it. Be ready at 9 a.m. I lay in bed that night, listening to Mark type and talk in his office, wondering how I'd missed the signs for so long. The separate bank accounts he'd insisted on. The mysterious business trips. The way he'd discouraged me from visiting his office. My husband wasn't just a cheater. He was a criminal. And tomorrow I was going to prove it. The morning sun glinted off the glass and steel facade of Mark's office building as I approached, dressed in my most professional outfit. Ryan had done his homework. The security guard was on break, replaced by a temporary worker who didn't know the regular staff. Mrs. Stevens, I said confidently, using Mark's dating profile surname. Here to surprise my husband. The guard barely glanced at me before waving me through. Mark's firm occupied the entire 15th floor. But at 9 a.m., most offices were still empty. I used my copy of his keycard, made months ago when he asked me to pick up some urgent documents, to access his private office. The space looked different from my last visit. Gone were the family photos, the art pieces I'd helped him choose. The room felt sterile, impersonal. Like the man himself, I realized. A facade hiding something darker. I found the laptop exactly where I expected, in a hidden wall safe behind his degrees. The combination wasn't our anniversary this time, but our first date, 10 to 15-17. Some part of him was still sentimental, it seemed. Following Ryan's instructions, I connected the special USB drive he'd given me. It would create a perfect copy of the hard drive while leaving no trace of access. As it worked, I photographed documents from Mark's desk with my burner phone. You shouldn't be here. I froze. The voice wasn't Mark's, but I recognized it. Janet, his assistant. She stood in the doorway, her expression unreadable. Janet, I said calmly, though my heart was racing. I was just leaving Mark a surprise. Was that before or after you started copying his files? She stepped into the office, closing the door behind her. I've been watching you, Mrs. Chen. You're smarter than he gives you credit for. I studied her carefully. Janet had worked for Mark for 3 years, always professional, always slightly distant. Now she seemed different. How long have you known? I asked. About the money laundering, since the beginning. About the dating profiles? Those came later. She moved to the window, looking out over the city. But you're not here about his affairs, are you? No, I admitted. I'm here about Project Eclipse. Janet turned back to me, a hint of respect in her eyes. Then you should know, it's bigger than just Mark. Much bigger. She reached into her bag and pulled out a flash drive. 3 years of documentation. Account numbers, client lists, everything. I've been gathering evidence since I realized what they were really doing. Why are you helping me? Because they killed my sister. Her voice hardened. She was an accountant at one of their shell companies. Got suspicious, started asking questions. Had a car accident 2 weeks later. The USB drive finished copying. I removed it carefully, trying to process this new information. Who are they? The same people your husband works for. The ones using this investment firm to clean money for some very dangerous people. She handed me her flash drive. There's a meeting tomorrow night. Everyone will be there, the whole network. That's your chance. Why haven't you gone to the authorities? Janet's laugh was bitter. With what proof? Against these people. I'd disappear before I could file a report. But you're his wife. You have access no one else has. My phone buzzed. A text from Mark. Coming to office early. Be there in 20. Janet saw the message over my shoulder. Go. I'll clean up here, make it look untouched. But Olivia, she caught my arm as I reached the door. Be careful. The people behind this, they make Mark look like an amateur. I made it out of the building just as Mark's car pulled into the parking garage. Back in my car, hands shaking, I called Ryan. You're not going to believe what just happened, I said. We met at a coffee shop 3 towns over, where I told him everything. He'd examined Janet's flash drive carefully before connecting it to his secure laptop. Holy shit, he whispered as files populated the screen. Liv, this is major cartel money. International trafficking operations. Your husband's firm isn't just laundering money. They're financing criminal enterprises across the globe. Janet mentioned a meeting tomorrow night. Everyone involved will be there. Ryan looked up sharply. That's our chance. But we need to do this right. One wrong move. I know, I said. But I have an idea. That evening, I played my role perfectly. When Mark mentioned working late the next night, I didn't question it. When he kissed my cheek absently before bed, I didn't flinch. But as he slept, I was setting everything in motion. The next day passed in a blur of preparation. Ryan set up surveillance equipment while I coordinated with Janet, who provided security codes and meeting details. By evening, everything was in place. I tracked Mark's phone as he drove to an abandoned warehouse outside the city. Janet's intel was solid. Cars were arriving from all directions, parking in the shadows. Through the hidden camera we'd placed earlier, I watched figures in expensive suits enter the building. Ready? Ryan asked from our surveillance position. I thought about the last 5 years, the lies, the betrayal, the casual cruelty of a man who'd use our marriage as cover for his crimes. Ready. The raid was swift and silent. Federal agents had been waiting for exactly this kind of gathering. Within minutes, the warehouse was surrounded. I watched through binoculars as Mark was led out in handcuffs, his face a mask of confusion and rage. Then he saw me standing beside the lead agent as she read him his rights. His expression shifted from rage to disbelief to something like fear. Why? He asked as they led him past me. We had everything. No, Mark, I said quietly. You had everything. I just had lies. The aftermath was chaos. News of the bust made international headlines. Major criminal network exposed. Investment firm front for global crime syndicate. Mark and his associates faced decades in prison. The evidence Janet and I had gathered ensured there would be no deals, no escapes. I filed for divorce the next day. The Rolex, his anniversary gift, I donated to a charity supporting victims of trafficking. It seemed fitting somehow. Months later, I received a letter from Mark's lawyer. He wanted to meet, to explain himself. I sent back a single response, a screenshot of his dating profile, with 2 words added: "No thanks." Janet stayed on at the firm, helping the new management rebuild its legitimate business. She started a foundation in her sister's name, supporting whistleblowers who expose financial crimes. As for me, I learned that sometimes the biggest betrayals lead to the most important discoveries, not just about others, but about ourselves. Mark had underestimated me, assumed I was too trusting, too naive to uncover his deception. Last week, I received a commendation from the FBI for my role in the investigation. The ceremony was private, my name kept out of public records for safety, but meaningful. Kate and Ryan were there, along with Janet. To taking down bad guys, Kate toasted afterward. To justice, Janet added. To truth, I said, thinking of that anniversary night that had started it all. Even when it hurts. The dating profiles that had first exposed Mark's deception were just the tip of the iceberg. But they led me to uncover something far more important than infidelity. They'd shown me my own strength, my capacity for justice, my unwillingness to look away from evil, even when it wore the face of someone I loved. Mark had taught me an invaluable lesson, though not the one he'd intended. He'd shown me that sometimes the greatest acts of love are not the rings we wear or the anniversaries we celebrate, but the moments when we stand up and say, enough. I still wear my wedding ring sometimes, not out of sentimentality, but as a reminder that truth, no matter how painful, is always preferable to comfortable lies. A reminder that justice, though slow, is worth pursuing. A reminder that sometimes the happy ending isn't the one we planned, but the one we fight for. The warehouse where it all ended has been demolished now, replaced by a community center. I drive past it sometimes, remembering the night everything changed. The night I stopped being Mark's wife and became something more important, my own hero. They say every ending is just a new beginning. Mine started with a dating profile and ended with a federal investigation. Not the anniversary gift I expected, but exactly the one I needed. And somewhere in a federal prison, Mark is learning that his biggest mistake wasn't getting caught. It was underestimating the woman he married.